Come on, 2, 3.
Well, good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRN AM for Monday, January 24th, 2022. Top story today, getting your eyes checked at any age. Joining me now to discuss this and a lot more is Dr. Alan Schlussel. He's an eye care professional for West Orange Eye Care and Eyewear. Alan, great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thanks for inviting me. I'm looking forward to discussing eye care.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to start off with some of the basics. Let's talk about how often do I need, and forgetting age range for a second, how often does someone need to see an eye care professional like yourself to have their eyes reviewed and checked?
Well, we generally recommend our patients come back annually. Those patients with certain comorbidities, glaucoma, cataracts, dry eyes, or maybe other chronic eye conditions, typically see us every 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, and that sounds like a really great rule of thumb. I mean, and we'll get into the insurance aspect of this in a little bit, but let's talk about age. And we're all aging. As every day, a minute goes by, we're aging. Are there certain age ranges? You mentioned comorbidities or related illnesses, but as I get older, say, I'm going to be 50 this year. As I get older, do I need to see someone like yourself more frequently?
Not necessarily. I mean, children annually, I would say the first eye exam for a child would be between 2 and 5 years old, depending upon patient history, family history. If the parents wear glasses at a very young age, maybe younger. But I would say up through the 40s, 50s, I would say annually is still sufficient. But we have many patients that come more often. Dry eyes being so common right now, we see patients maybe 3 or 4 times a year. Those patients with cataracts, as they get older, they're starting to notice signs of cataracts, but they're not ready to have them removed. They may come in twice a year. It really depends on their history and what they're going through. But I would say throughout life, annually is a good rule of thumb.
Yeah, I always look forward to my eye visit. It's a great, especially for someone who's now moved into reading glasses. I always appreciate having my eyes checked. What does a typical visit entail for those who maybe aren't going as frequently as they should or could? And we'll talk about insurance in a minute. But how long does a typical eye exam take, and what does it entail?
Well, generally it entails a comprehensive history and review of their medical conditions. We'll ask them about their prior eye history, review current medications. Some medications can affect the eye, especially those that take a lot of hypertensive medications. They may cause dry eye. And then you meet with an optometric technician who does pre-testing, and she will do some screenings for glaucoma. She'll do a computer analysis of the present eyeglasses they wear. And then we'll do an objective calculation using what we call an autorefractor, a computer to screen for their eyeglass prescription. And then we'll finalize that with a peripheral vision test, a screening of their peripheral vision. Sometimes early peripheral vision loss could be a sign of glaucoma. And then we'll take a OptoMap digital photograph of their retina that gives us a full, comprehensive, full, wide-angle view of their retina, which can often replace dilation, which a lot of patients don't like. And then I will see the patient afterwards, review the history. I'll go into a refraction, which involves calculating their eyeglass prescription for distance, mid-range, and near. And then we'll actually review the OptoMap photographs. We'll use what we call a slit lamp microscope to look at the front of the eye, to check the eye pressure again. We do that also in the pre-testing room with a puff of air. And then we'll review the photograph of the OptoMap on a large computer monitor and review the optic nerve, parts of the retina, things that might be causing problems. And then the patient feels like they've gotten a thorough exam.
Yeah, and none of this, I mean, I can attest, I've been through numerous eye exams none of this. It's not like going in a Iron Maiden. You're not being. It's not painful at all. It really is. It actually is relaxing. It's. I don't know. I don't even have to describe it, but it's really nurturing. Let's talk about insurance, because a lot of people may not be aware that some of their insurance may cover this. There's also separate insurances that cover eye examinations. But you mind giving us a little bit of information about the insurance aspect of all this?
Yeah, and typically in our patient population, I would say 70% of the medical eye health exam, the primary eye exam, can be covered through health insurance. As long as the patient comes in with some type of concern, dry eye, allergies, redness, irritation, or they're diabetic or hypertensive, the primary eye exam, where we do the medical testing, we do the review of their health of their eye, that's reimbursable through health insurance. The part of the exam, 30%, is usually we call refractive testing, where we actually spend time calculating the eyeglass prescription. That part is usually not covered by health insurance, but some health insurance carriers will cover that as part of an annual eye health screening. But many people will opt to have separate vision coverage from their company that they enroll in. That will cover the full eye exam with a copay, and it often covers an allowance towards contacts, eyeglasses, or even the contact lens exam.
Yeah, and that's something that people should certainly not skimp on. I mean, we're not advocates in the sense that you should buy X, Y, or Z here, but it's something that, look, you need your eyes. You only get two of them, and you want them to last for your full life. And because the insurance is not necessarily cost prohibitive and a lot of it's covered, you want to take advantage of this.
Yeah, I mean, vision plans offered by many employers, there's a few of them on the market that are common. They are very inexpensive compared to the premium for health insurance. They could be as little as $10 a month, and maybe $20 a month for a whole family. And that gives the ability for your children, your spouse, to get glasses every year.
Yeah, really important. Last question for this segment, doctor, and I think you alluded to some of this, dry eyes, but are there common maladies that you're seeing among your patient population? And you've got a diverse patient population, young, mature, men, women, people of all types. I mean, are there things other than dry eye that you're seeing that we should be on the lookout for?
Definitely dry eyes has been the major obstacle, especially during the pandemic with increased screen time. We're looking at screens, we're not blinking as frequently. That's been definitely increased during COVID, but even over the last 5 to 10 years. But I would say styes have been very common during the pandemic, people wearing their mask at work. The blowing of the air from the mask into the eyelid can cause, often people get styes. I think just general eye strain and eye fatigue. Most people working from home on Zooms, working with their team online, they're spending probably more screen time than they did working at an office, because they're putting maybe 10 hours in. Well, when they work in an office, they have to commute back and forth, and they're not probably spending as much time.
Well, thanks, Alan. When we come back, we'll talk more about screen usage and what its impact is to your eyes and what you could and should do. You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM.
But if you're tired of the same.
Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms, especially for the smaller businesses? I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Are you stuck with a low credit score? A credit report and score that's causing you to be denied credit or pay higher interest rates than others for the same things? Then do what Terrence did and call Credit Repaired for your free credit evaluation to help restore your credit.
I started thinking about buying a new house, and my score wasn't where I needed it to be. I called and spoke with one of the representatives, and we just had a good conversation, and I liked what he was saying.
Just one call for his free credit evaluation was all it took to start back on the track to repairing his credit.
I'm seeing the deletions and I'm getting the report, so I know something's being done. It does make a difference to me.
All it takes is one call to get started.
Credit Repair has given me a second chance to have a better credit score.
Don't let a low credit score hold you back another day. Do what Terrence did and make the call for your free credit evaluation.
Call 800-819-4152. That's 800-819-4152. Again, 800-819-4152.
Welcome back. We're talking this morning to Dr. Alan Schlussel of West Orange Eye Care in Eyewear. Alan, thanks so much for staying with us this morning.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, this is a fun conversation. And again, it's all about advocacy and education, and people really need to be aware. As you were saying in the green room before, people need to be aware, whether you're a young person, a mature person, all age ranges, your eyes are very important to check out.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's talk about screen glare, and you mentioned it throughout our conversation in the first segment. Dry eyes, a result of people wearing masks, blowing air up when they breathe up into their eyes, but also when you're looking at screens all day long, and we're doing that right now, you and I are both on a teleconference, you tend to get some issues there. So what is this leading us to?
Well, I think, over the last, I would say 15 years, we've all used computers more in our life than we did prior to that. So the increased screen use started to cause kids to develop myopia and nearsightedness in a greater rate than their parents got it. There are many families that parents never wore glasses till their 40s, but their kids become nearsighted because they're spending so much time reading and looking at screens. But that's been a long-term issue. I'd say over the last 5 years, with the increased phone and computer use, we definitely, as we mentioned, a lot of dry eyes, a lot of strain, a lot of fatigue. And this is something that's definitely causing people to come to their eye doctor with explanations of what's going on. Headaches, very common. Migraines, these are all very common things that go along with increased screen use. But I would say the major one would be dry eyes.
Yeah, and what steps can we take? I mean, there's got to be, obviously there's glare-resistant glasses. I know we've talked about that offline. There's drops that you can put in your eyes. But what are some things, and obviously, if we're doing work on the computer, it's hard to turn off the computer and do work without looking at a screen. But what are some things we can do to protect ourselves and our eyes?
Well, the one thing that eye doctors, optometrists have been saying for years is just take a rest break. We call it the 20-20-20 rule. It's been advocated all over. Every 20 minutes, kind of look away from the screen. Look at something far in the distance for 20 seconds. Close your eyes, blink 1,000, 2,000, full blinks. Because most of us, when we stare at a screen, our eyes are wide open and we don't blink fully, and that causes the lower part of the cornea to get irritated and dry. I think the coatings, anti-reflective coatings, are definitely helpful reducing glare from the screens, driving at night, things like that. Cosmetically on Zooms, when you wear glasses, you don't see the reflections, so that's helpful. And I think blue blocker glasses have been advocated to reduce the strain. There's still some controversy whether blue blockers are really necessary, but they definitely show in those patients that sit at screens, it reduces some eye strain. And some patients from so much screen use will have trouble sleeping at night, and it seems to help prevent the problems with sleeping. So that helps a lot.
Yeah, well, sleeping obviously an important part of regeneration, restoration, and getting us ready for the next day. Alan,
Sure.
outside of visiting with you and a medical professional, or excuse me, an eye professional, how do we notice whether or not we have issues, and to bring that to your attention maybe in advance of an annual physical? I'm thinking about glaucoma, my peripheral vision being obscured. Those have to be major things that we need to be aware of as patients.
Absolutely. I mean, glaucoma, the one disease that is silent, we call it, so the silent loss of vision. There are no symptoms of glaucoma. So patients can't really effectively measure their peripheral vision accurately. If you notice loss of peripheral vision, it's way too late to really treat glaucoma. You need to see your eye doctor regularly to check the eye pressure, a basic screening of the field of vision if there's high pressures, or family history is a big importance. Some people who have a very strong family history of glaucoma may develop it younger. So you can't, bank on noticing it yourself. Other eye diseases like cataracts, certainly that's noticed, but also that's pretty subtle. It's a gradual decrease in the vision for distance, or just less clarity to things. Things look dim, but that's a gradual thing. And sometimes people won't notice it until the cataracts really mature. So it really goes back to what you mentioned, is just annual eye exams with your doctor, who can review these things and let you know what things are important to be screened for regularly.
Yeah, and if you have the insurance, why not take advantage of it? And there's so many, to think about some of the vision benefits. There's a lot there in terms of glasses coverage, in terms of some of the screenings that you've been describing. Let's talk about corrective lenses, because I've been wearing glasses since, I think you know this, since I was about 2. I wear contact lenses now, rigid gas permeable, because of my horrific vision. But that's a whole nother issue. Let's talk about getting, there's a lot of online places to buy corrective lenses like contacts and also glasses. But I have to think that we want to be aware of things to keep an eye on, pun intended, when buying things online.
Well, I think that that's a big concern amongst the professionals. A lot of our patients do purchase their contact lenses online. I think it's fine in that, as long as the distributor keeps you with the brand that the doctor recommends. But often a lot of these distributors will try to switch you to generic versions, just like pharmacies will switch you from a brand name medication to a generic. And a lot of the generic contact lens brands are not equivalent to the brand names the patient was wearing. They're made from a material that's less oxygen permeable, less wettable. And often the other concern is that most of the distributors will not keep track of expiration dates. There's a law that, they must contact the optometrist and ophthalmologist to find out when they were last due for an exam. But a lot of times they'll ignore it, or they'll send you a reminder through email or through phone. And it's not easy for staff to keep track of those phone calls and those emails and faxes. So a patient will get the prescription filled before you have the ability to block it, because the patient's due for an exam. The other concern with contact lenses is you're really alienating yourself a little bit from your professional, because our offices count on the profit made from contacts to run our business. And those patients that take their business to other sources, we're losing that revenue. And that's happening all over the country with Amazon, of course, but that's a little bit of a concern in terms of your relationship with your professional. And especially if you have vision benefits that cover contacts, the provider will take the allowance and take it off your bill, so you won't have to pay up front. When it comes to eyeglass lenses, that's a different story. A lot of the manufacturers use inferior products. They're not using as quality materials. And the big concern with people who wear progressive lenses is that the height measurement of where the pupil is related to the bottom of the frame can't be done without the patient's frame on the eye. There are new devices and technologies now that are coming where you can get a 3-dimensional map of the person's face and really cater the lenses to where the frame fits within the eyes. And that technology is coming out with a lot of our offices in the next year or so.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you really laid it out very clear. And I think it's not always just about price. And in every industry, right, you can get things cheaper, but you got to know what you pay for. And if you have the wrong materials, especially sitting on your eye or around your eye, that could be a major concern. Dr. Alan Schlussel, we're going to have to leave it there. Really important conversation. Really appreciate you coming on, and we look forward to having you back on the program again very soon.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm glad I could pick up some good points about eye care. Thank you.
And that wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to, well, drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the information in lifestyle, wellness, tech, finance, so much more, and all in one easy-to-read place, check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. Want to search our archives or see our latest content? Well, check out our website and, of course, our streaming partners like Amazon, Roku, Samsung, so many more. There's over 100. Check them out. We're back again tomorrow. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes.
Waiting here for you to take and drink of. But if you're tired, come on.
Now is your opportunity to co-create content around any topic on the first lifestyle and wellness network. Reach a global audience through our platform and co-own exclusive branded content. All of our programs are available on demand and also as audio-only podcasts, so you can take us on the go. Broadcast Retirement Network, available anytime, anywhere, and on any device.
Are you being audited and do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. The IRS can freeze your assets and seize your bank accounts, but you can stop these IRS actions. The Tax Doctor will work with you using our years of experience to represent your case to help you get the best resolution under the IRS guidelines. Help is here to deal with the IRS to reduce your stress. We've handled thousands of cases, so we know what we're doing. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, do not call the IRS alone. Call a Tax Doctor now for a tax emergency analysis.
Call 800-224-6439.